Hi, this is Kevin Judge, aka Adam Smith from the Adam Smith Initiative. Today, June 14th, 2018, I'm going to discuss a little known economist named Ludwig Erhard, who is greatly responsible for the German post war economic miracle. Sounds like fun to me. Anyway, think recovering from the last recession was tough? Well, imagine yourself in Germany after World War II. The country lay in ruins with 5 million military and civilian dead. The great German industrial infrastructure, once the envy of the world, was devastated by Allied bombing. The country was divided into two halves. East was controlled by the Soviet Union, and the West further divided up into zones run by the US, Britain, and France. Now, fortunately, the Allies resisted temptation to punish and dismantle their conquered foe, as they made the big mistake in World War I. And they chose in 1949 to establish a new sovereign state, the Federal Republic of Germany, also known as West Germany. It survived and prospered until reunification in 1990 with East Germany, which was newly liberated by the end of the Cold War. If you don't remember that, the Cold War was the competition between the Free West and the Communist East. During the second half of the 20th century, the best way to illustrate the stakes involved in this Cold War competition was to point to the stark contrast between the two Germanys. The West was free and prosperous, and the East oppressed and impoverished. The revival of West Germany was stunning and stunningly rapid. It was hailed as the German Wirtschaftswunder. I mangled that. The economic miracle. The generous American aid plan, called the Marshall Plan, and the first leader of the FRG, Konrad Adenauer, are usually given the credit, and for good reason. America, again, resisted the temptation to repeat the mistakes of punishing their conquered foe. And Adenauer led his people out of the darkness of Nazism and totalitarianism. He embraced democracy and the free market. However, a somewhat lesser known figure made critical economic decisions that made all the difference in the world during this period. His name was Ludwig Erhard, and he was a German politician and economist who rejected Nazism and supported resistance during the war. Despite being explicitly forbidden to do so by the Nazi leadership, he planned and started planning for the post-war reconstruction with the very dangerous assumption that the war would be lost by the Nazis. When he was appointed to lead the Economic Council of the Anglo-American Zone in 1947, it was an historic instance of the right man at the right time. He was prepared with a plan for recovery and was determined not to go down the road of centralized planning that was becoming increasingly popular in both the East and West, and for some reason still is attractive to many people. Germany and much of the capitalist world had adopted wage and price controls as a temporary measure to maintain stability during the wars. A truism in life that I love to point out is that there's nothing more permanent in life than a temporary fix. I mean, after all, 73 years after the end of hostilities, New York City still has the rent control instituted during the Great War. Unfortunately, Erhard was he was ordered not to make changes to the price controls currently in place at the end of the war. Erhard bravely proceeded anyway, arguing that his orders did not say anything about eliminating them completely. Between June and August of 1948, Erhard decontrolled the prices of produce and most manufactured goods. For most other prices ceilings, he simply ceased enforcement. Critically, he also reformed the currency. He dramatically reduced the amount of currency in circulation, replacing the Reichsmark with the new Deutschmark. A strong currency and price stability was essential to establishing an environment where business and investments could thrive. Contrary to conventional wisdom of the time, it took only a few months for prices to stabilize and the free market system to reemerge. Shortages and reliance on bartering and the black market came to an end. Importantly, these policies avoided the tragedy of runaway inflation that brought down the Weimar Republic, which was Germany after World War One. Erhard followed his early steps with 33% tax cut and sweeping deregulation. This caused a string of opposition from socialists and communists, but the American command general, Lucius Clay, stood behind him. The positive results soon became impossible to deny even by the most severe critics. Industrial production in 1948 was 60% over the prior year. Upon the formation of West Germany, he became the Minister of Economics and held that post until 1963, when he succeeded Adenauer as Prime Minister. Erhard promoted what he referred to, or what was referred to at the time, as a social market economy. That was emphasizing achieving prosperity through a robust free market, a strong central bank, and a social safety net to protect the disadvantaged. His vision was not fully realized. Germany opted for a more robust welfare state. Ironically, it would not have been possible and it survived without the robust economy to pay for it, provided by Erhard's wise policies. German miracle? More like the results of sound free market economics that work wherever and whenever they are tried. Well, that's all for today. This is Kevin Judge, a.k.a. Adam Smith, from the Adam Smith Initiative. Visit us at adamsmithnow.com. Thanks and have a super day.